If you're anything like me, you're probably looking at the new year and the approaching new decade as this amazing opportunity to evaluate our life and make changes and make everything the best it can be. In honor of that, today I'm going to give you 20 things you should stop doing in 2020, 20 ways that we can improve upon things in order to make sure that we are living our best, most wonderful life. Now, each and every one of these things we could talk about in depth, but in the interest of keeping this short and sweet, I'm gonna run through each one pretty quickly. I'm also gonna go through in reverse order of importance. So starting with the least and the most kind of simple, practical change we can make all the way up to the big, deep, most important change, things we should stop doing in 2020. Let's jump in. Number 20 is that we need to stop going to bed too late. It's so easy to use those evening hours for different things, whether we're being productive and staying up late to work, or we're just vegging out and wasting time. But either way, it's so important to have a set bedtime and wake time schedule. So we definitely need to give ourselves as much time as possible to sleep, and that almost always entails going to bed as early as we can. Number 19 is hanging on to things we don't use anymore. All of us could probably benefit from simplifying, from minimalizing, from decluttering. And yeah, we've got a lot of things lying around that might still hold sentimental value, but are we really using them anymore? For instance, I've recently come across a bunch of old CDs or magazines from more than 10 years ago. I'm not looking at them. I don't know why I still have them. Those are the kinds of things we can definitely get rid of and clear our space. On that note, number 18 is that we need to stop dealing with paper clutter. Paper just flies everywhere. It comes into our lives so easily, and then if you're like me, it just gets stacked up on counters and on my desk, and it drives me nuts. In this day and age, we definitely don't need to deal with that. Anytime we get something on paper, if it's important, all we need to do is take a quick picture of it with our phone, and then we can upload it to a program like Evernote and keep a digital searchable record of it forever. So definitely don't let paper be out of control. Number 17 is to stop stressing about what your house looks like. If you are a busy mom like me, it is impossible to keep up with the 3 little kids running around, making a mess, and undoing what I've just done all the time. So instead, it's really okay to just let things be the way they are. You'll get to it when you get to it. It's not gonna kill you to leave dishes in the sink overnight or wait to fold the laundry until later in the week. I know that all of us would love a clean house. We'd all love things to be spotless, but we don't need to stress about it. That stress is just making us miserable, and it's really not helping to make our house any cleaner. Just do the best you can and know that you'll get to the other things when you have a free moment. Similar to that, number 16 is to stop freaking out about the mess that your kids are making. I, in case you couldn't tell, am someone that really likes things to be nice and neat and in order. And oh my gosh, is that just not reality with kids? Especially with 3 little boys, things are constantly getting broken. Mud is getting tracked everywhere. There are dents in the wall. My kids are scribbling on the furniture, and it drives me nuts. But I've learned the hard way that freaking out in those moments can crush their spirit, right? They're just being kids. They're trying to learn boundaries. They're trying to learn what is okay and not, and rarely is the damage unfixable. So it's so much more important to encourage our kids to be creative, help redirect them to something that might be more appropriate, but know that it's not the end of the world if something happens. The 15th thing you should stop doing in 2020 is keeping up with news events and social media. All the studies show that it's making us feel worse, right? That the more we let in the outside negativity, whether it's from political events or what we see other people living and doing on social media, all of that just messes with our heads and makes us more anxious, makes us depressed. So we need to cut back. If you really need to keep up with the news, great, but try and limit the time that you spend on this. And I would just encourage you to try and focus only on the immediate bubble around you. Focus on the good things and work to fill your life with only good and joy. As they say, ignorance is bliss. So the less you know about what's going on in the outside world, sometimes the better. It's not that we want to be completely ignorant citizens, and there are often big world events that it's important to know about. But again, we need to have some boundaries and not feel like we've got to know everything that's going on all the time. Number 14 is wasting little chunks of time. As a busy mom, I used to need big chunks of time to get stuff done, but my reality is that that never happens. Instead, I need to be so productive in even the shortest window of time. And so I've learned the hard way, something that I talked about on my Instagram stories this week. Quick side note, if you're not following me on Instagram, definitely jump on over there and follow me because I'm giving regular tips and advice all the time, also giving you an inside glimpse into my life. So would love to have you follow me on Instagram. But my story was about how important it is to estimate how long something is going to take when we add it to our to-do list. That way we have a running list of things that can get done in 5, 10, 15 minutes. And the next time we find ourselves with that amount of time, we just jump over to our to-do list, find something that can get done in that time, and voila! Number 13 is we need to stop saying yes to everyone and everything. It's so natural to be a people pleaser, to want approval, to want to help other people out, but we also then inevitably take on too much. And if we say yes to everything, then our yes actually doesn't mean anything. And we also get overwhelmed. We might be unable to follow through with our commitments. We become undependable, unreliable. Nobody wants that. So do yourself a favor, do other people a favor, and have those boundaries. Don't be afraid to say no. Number 12 is we need to stop having unrealistic expectations. More specifically, what I'm talking about here is that we need to stop thinking we're going to be able to do more than we feasibly can. Humans are so bad at gauging how long something is going to take, so we inevitably take on more than we can actually do. The solution is to double or triple the amount of time we think something is going to take. I talked about this in my other video, so check it out. Number 11 is something I know you are just as guilty of as I am. That is multitasking. We've got to stop. We know that we can only cognitively focus on one thing at a time, but we are always getting distracted, trying to do more than one thing, letting notifications take our attention away from what we should be doing. We've got to cut that out. And especially something I want to work on is putting my phone down and not letting it dictate my life. I really want to focus on being present with my kids, with my husband, with my loved ones, and when I'm being with them, when I'm doing something, my phone is not going to be in the room. I'm not going to let that take my attention away from what really matters. Moving right along, number 10 is that we need to stop checking our phones, social media, email, what have you, first thing in the day. It's so obvious that when we wake up and we do this, we just open ourselves up to whatever has just happened and our day gets derailed. We don't stick with our plan, or we just waste time instead of getting our morning off on the right foot. The solution is to try and set specific times where we do allow ourselves to check in and respond to those emails or notifications. So really work to be better about this in the new year. Number 9 is something I am so guilty of. We need to stop thinking that we have to fill every single second with doing something or listening to something, right? It's really okay to just sit in silence, to have peace and quiet, to sit still and give ourselves a break. If we don't have that downtime, if we don't rest and relax, then we never get rid of the stress that we feel. So do yourself a favor and just give yourself a few minutes every day to do nothing. Now, I am not a financial advisor by any means, but I've learned a lot of things the hard way, and I've also done a lot of research into this. So the 8th thing I recommend you stop doing in 2020 is living outside your means. Time is money. Or phrased differently, money is time. So every bit of money we spend is an amount of our physical time and energy that we essentially owe in order to pay for what we just bought. If we're not using our time wisely, if we're not using our money wisely, then we're not giving ourselves the freedom to enjoy life as we wish it would be. So what we need to do is be really careful about the little purchases that we might make. We don't need to be eating out lunch all the time. We don't need to be running to the Starbucks drive-thru. We don't need to be buying something just because it's a good deal and we're afraid of missing out on that good price. We need to be really intentional about where our money is going and work to have a plan for how we are going to attain more financial freedom as the years go on. Now, as you know, we are lucky to live in a day and age where there are so many tools and resources to make this easier than ever. I'll put a few of my favorites down in the description below. Feel free to check them out, but I would just really encourage you to set a budget, evaluate your financial situation, set some goals for savings, and just really get your financial life in order in the new year. Moving on to some of the deeper things now. The 7th thing you should stop doing in 2020 is ignoring your health. We all know what we need to be doing. We need to be working out. We need to be eating healthy. We need to be drinking more water. We need to be taking care of our skin, getting proper rest, all that good stuff. But when it comes to actually living that out on a daily basis, it's so easy to find excuses. I really have learned the hard way that, as many of the experts warn us, we're never gonna feel like doing those things that we should. So we just have to do it. We just have to force ourselves. We have to make a commitment and follow through. The 6th thing to stop doing in 2020 is saying, I'll get to it. We all have those never-ending to-do lists, and it's high time we took a good look at them and either made time to do what's on there or dropped those things altogether. Having that mental clutter weighing us down is not helpful. So either find the time to do what needs to get done or just take it off your list. Drop it for now. If you need additional help with this, check out my free 5 Ds to Defeat Despair e-guide. It walks you through a very simple process for taming your to-do list, and I know you'll find this helpful. Number 5 is that we need to stop caring what anyone else thinks. Nobody's got it all together. No one has it all figured out, and it's so natural for us to want to please everyone, to have their approval, right, and get validation that we're on the right track, but only you have the real answers. Listen to your gut. Stop expecting that anyone else's opinion is going to make a difference. Just do what's right for you. Also on that note, just another little side recommendation is that we need to be so careful about how we are talking to ourselves. If our inner dialogue is really negative and critical, then we are really just berating ourselves, and that's not helpful. So be careful about how you speak to yourself. Use good, positive words, lift yourself up, say daily affirmations. You don't need to be your world's biggest critic. Number 4 is that we need to stop staying in a situation, a job, a relationship, or any other circumstance that is not bringing us joy and fulfillment. Life is short, time is precious, and we don't need to be doing these things if they're not really adding value to our lives. If you'd like more help on figuring out whether you should get out of a situation, then definitely be sure and subscribe down below. My video next week is all about how to know when it's time to quit something, and I will walk you through a lot of very helpful steps for discerning whether it's time to make a change. Moving on, the 3rd thing that you should stop doing in 2020 is trying to be perfect. No one is perfect. You know that, right? We forget it and we hold ourselves to these impossible expectations. Especially if you're a parent and a mom, I think we often think that everybody else has it all figured out and is doing such a better job than we are. But again, we need to give ourselves grace. On this note, one of the most helpful things I ever came across was Brené Brown's work on the gifts of imperfection. I will link a couple books for you down below. One is the general book on the gifts of imperfection. The other is her extremely brilliant The Gifts of Imperfect Parenting book, and it just completely opened my eyes. As parents, it is so important that we're helping our kids learn that the world isn't perfect, right? And so rather than hold them to perfect standards or ourselves to perfect standards. It's our job to help them navigate the imperfection and equip them with tools for how to deal with it as they get older. We're almost there. The second thing you need to stop doing in 2020 is refusing to ask for help. Again, no one has this figured out, so definitely give yourself a break. Don't be afraid to ask for help, to accept help when it's offered, and more importantly, to also offer help whenever you see someone in need. Now, big drum roll, the number one thing to stop doing in 2020 is taking our loved ones for granted. 2019 has been a really rough year for me on this front. I've lost some people that were very close to me. I've struggled with some of my loved ones' situations changing so that I don't get to see or talk to them as much as I did. And I just want to remind all of us that we never know if we're going to get tomorrow. So let's really focus on being present, on building those connections, deepening our relationships. We all know that if we're not growing together, we're inevitably growing apart. And again, you never know how much time you're going to have with those that you love. So make the most of every moment and don't let today pass you by. All right, those are my 20 things to stop doing in 2020. If you have other recommendations, definitely enter them in the comments below. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and then come back next week. I make new videos all the time, all about prioritization, productivity, time management, and that elusive thing we call work-life balance. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.